Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are going over a budget red dot option. This is the Riton X3 Tactix MPRD. It's a great little red dot sight, very affordable, and in the Shield RMSc pattern. So it's got some pros and cons. I'm really excited to dig into this today. But before we do that, let's get a word from our channel sponsors.
If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and follow us, where you'll find Second Amendment news, training content, honest gear reviews, drills you can do at home, updates on our latest training technology, and more content that will help you in your journey to becoming a better marksman.
Alright, so the Riton X3 Tactix. Let's talk about the pros of this red dot sight. The first one is mainly it's affordable. If you're buying this, you're buying it because it's pretty cheap. Retail on this, I think, is between $80 and $90. You can hop over to Borelli, buy one of these, and get it with free shipping. And they'll ship it out right to you, and that's where I bought mine from. At that price, it's cheaper than most of the other options in the Shield RMSc pattern. There's other budget Chinese options that can be close to that range, somewhere in the $100 range. Or you have the HoloSun 407K, which you can buy for under $200 if you know where to find them, either on sale or directly from a dealer. The second pro, obviously the Shield RMSc pattern. That's a very common pattern on concealed carry pistols these days, especially single stack pistols. And for that reason, I think this is probably the most affordable from an actual brand, that has a real warranty essentially option in that footprint. It's compact for concealed carry. The window's not the biggest, but you can see that it's pretty thin here in terms of being the width of the slide. As far as height goes, it's not a very large sight, so the window isn't huge. But for that reason, this thing is pretty tiny. And given its small size, though, the window size isn't terribly small. I didn't have too much trouble picking it up at the range. It's definitely harder than some of the bigger sights, but in its class, in the Shield pattern, it's really not that bad as far as window size goes. The other thing too is it held up to recoil pretty well. Right now I've got this mounted on a 40 Smith & Wesson. This is an XD40 with a mounting plate, and it held up to recoil really well through the couple of boxes that I threw through it. And this is pretty hard-hitting caliber. As you guys know, the recoil is a little bit more significant and zippy than 9mm. And the Riton held up pretty well in my testing. I don't have that much ammo through it, guys. I don't have thousands of rounds through it yet. I only put a couple boxes of 40 Smith & Wesson through it. But the fact that it can hold up to that, I think you'd probably be pretty safe mounting this on a 9mm or smaller. All right, let's talk about the cons, and they are significant. This is where a lot of the cost cutting comes from. The first one I'm going to talk about is very small. It's the packaging that this thing comes in, or the lack thereof. This came basically in a bubble wrap bag, and that's pretty much all that it came with. So not the best packaging, but it did come and it worked out of box, so I can't really complain about that. There are no brightness controls on this thing. And the reason that that's important is I like to really control brightness based on the daylight outside. You are basically confined to the sensor that's built into this, the light sensor. I found that in bright days, it wasn't up to snuff to be able to see the dot very brightly. And then similarly, when you've got the flashlight mounted on this thing, like a weapon mounted light at night, the sensor is too slow when you flick the light on. So if you're planning on using this for home defense and say somebody breaks into your house at night, you flick that light on, it will drown out the red dot for just a few seconds, but that's enough of a slowness that I would say this isn't really a good option for home defense at night, if that's what the purpose that you want it for. Okay, the next big con is the battery compartment on this thing. Now, this is common with a lot of the Shield RMSc pattern red dots, but the battery compartment is at the bottom, so you have to dismount this in order to change the batteries, which means there's a good chance you'll have to re-zero it when you change the batteries. And now, mind you, that's a probably once a year type occurrence, maybe a little more if you're training with this thing super frequently. But that said, it is a consideration. Battery compartment at the bottom is a negative. The last thing is the turrets, guys. What I like in turrets is an audible click when you turn it. Makes it easy to zero. You know exactly how far the dot is going to move per click. You don't get that with these. These are more analog style. You have to kind of adjust. I found that when I was shooting it, I had to keep the Allen wrench kind of in there, fire a shot, turn it, fire a shot, and it was a lot easier to zero this with a laser as well. So if you have a laser, probably not that big of a deal. You might waste a few more rounds trying to zero this thing at the actual range. So that could be problematic. The other thing about the turrets is that it requires a tiny Allen wrench to change. And the reason that that's problematic is if you don't have that very tiny Allen wrench with you at the range, and you get off zero or something gets messed up or you didn't zero it right at home, you're going to run into problems then and have a bad day because you won't be able to use your gun. In conclusion, guys, it's not a bad red dot. It's a budget option, and for the budget option, you get kind of budget features. And you know what? That's okay. Not everything has to be super high, expensive, and I know everybody's budgets vary. It's a good option. Is it as good as the higher tier options? No, it isn't, but it's all right. If you're only buying once, you want to buy once and cry once, I would say the HoloSun 407K is a better option. You can see our reviews on other HoloSun sites. They're super durable, super bright, a lot more features than this, but it is almost twice as much. So something else to keep in mind there. That said, guys, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate so much if you would like this video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment. All of those things really helps us grow and helps us produce great content in the future. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Always remember, train hard, train often.